Des here, and the next in our series of how-tos, we're going to have a little chat about VHF radio. What do you need to know and what do you need to practice? Or more to the point, what do you need to not forget? So there's some things that are quite important. VHF radio is about the only thing on the boat that you actually need a license to operate. You need a license for the set itself, and you actually need a license for yourself as the operator. Both are administered in UK boats through Ofcom for the licence and the RYA for the licensing. Quite simple. The licence itself for the boat you can do online. There's no charge to it these days. You just have to download all the paperwork and carry it on the boat. The licence for the person, that's a little bit more complicated. It's roughly a day's course. You can do some of it online, and then there's a small written and a spoken exam to make sure that you're up to speed and not getting it too badly wrong. And the reason for the licensing is quite simple. If you don't follow the right procedure, you can cause chaos afloat, and not just that, you might interrupt somebody having a bad day and make it worse because their transmissions don't get through. So it's important to have an understanding about how it all works. So it's the only bit that you actually really need to legally do before you go afloat. So I've just got the licence for the little boat that we're on. There's the physical licence for the equipment, and then I've got my personal licence, which is my authority to operate. And I've just realised that I've moved since this was done, so I need to update it. So there's a little test for you. Is yours in date as well? Boat was correct, but my personal licence, I've moved house. So there we are. That's exciting, isn't it? Don't have to carry it on you, just need to have done the training and understand what it means. But the boat licence should be on the boat. I've never been stopped in my life, but I'd hate not to have it. So, portables. Handheld portables require a licence as well. Well, yes and no. If this was purely used with this boat and only used in the tender to this boat, it could operate on the ship's licence. But if you use it in its own right, i.e. you go from boat to boat and I go from boat to boat, it needs what's called a transportable licence. So I have a separate licence for the actual equipment, same personal licence to use a transportable. Nowadays you can get these either with just voice stuff, or you can have them with DSC, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and you can also have them with the GPS in it. So effectively it's a whole handheld communication system, well worth thinking about. Now everybody loves going afloat, and going afloat with friends and family is lovely as well, but one of the things that should be not uppermost in your mind, but should come through your brief before you go anywhere, is how does the radio operate and what do people need to do? So worth showing people how to turn it on. Now obviously every model's different, but have a good look at your boat and see if you can pull out some really easy bits of information. So on this one we push and hold and it turns on. Goes through a little check page, goes through its MMSI. Its MMSI is its text number, is how I think of it and describe it. So it's your personal number which goes in the radio. You program it in, and then if you're sending digital messages, texting, then whoever you've texted knows who it's from. So whether it's the Coast Guard or someone else's boat, if you've got their number and you text them, they know it's from you. Great little system, really worth doing. Once we've turned it on and we have our little check screen, if we're lucky and it's connected to our GPS, it will show our physical position in lat and long. Well, that's really important, because if we need to call for help and we're sending on the DSC texting system, we can actually send our position to the Coast Guard and they can arrange assistance and they know exactly where you are. Really, really helpful. Once we've got it turned on, how do we know if it's going to receive anything? Well, we always have the ability to adjust the volume, and on this one we just turn and we can see a little slidey bar, and we also have the ability to adjust the squelch. And if you don't remember, the squelch is how sensitive it is. So what we do is turn it up to about half volume and then turn the squelch down till we get a horrible noise. At that point we turn it up one click. And right on cue we get the French, because it's a lovely clear day, so we've got fantastic reception. So what that allows us to do is to check that the radio is definitely receiving. The loud noises, we've made it so sensitive it picks up all the noise in the background. Turning it up a click means we're only receiving real transmissions. And right on cue we got one. Couldn't have timed it better. So having turned your VHF radio on and adjusted the squelch and the volume so that you can establish that the thing is receiving, that's a really good start. We just need to recap what can it actually do. So a modern DSC radio, that's digital selective calling, which is the text type of how I would like to remember it, is capable of making 3 styles of call. Normal voice stuff that we use for chatting to the marina or the harbour master to arrange a berth or find out where he'd like us to go, or calling for fuel. Normal spoken stuff, that's what we've all had from the very start. And then we have the digital side of it, and the digital side can do a call to an individual. So basically you can send a text to a friend. If you know their number, you can enter their number, press send, and it will send them a message going beep beep, telling them to acknowledge, and it will tell them what channel you want to chat to them. That means you don't have to call people on channel 16. If you know their number and you know who you want to talk to, you can arrange it all digitally. That's called an individual call. It can also do digital calls for security, and security is something where you've found something that will be of interest to everybody, a navigation marker, come adrift or something of that nature. So you could tell everybody, or you could tell the Coast Guard and let them tell everybody. It can also do what's called an urgency call. We used to always refer to it as a pan-pan. And an urgency would be for something which has happened, but it's not life-threatening to you or the boat. So you might have had an engine failure and you're drifting. At the moment, if you're in open water, it's not going to kill you, but it's probably not going to get any better. So you might make an urgency call to see if you can arrange some help. The other thing that the digital side can do is do a distress call, what we traditionally called a mayday. And the digital system allows you to send a text telling everybody that you're having a bad day. And if your VHF and your chart plotter or your GPS are connected, you can send your boat's MMSI, so it's Maritime Mobile Security Indicator, its text number. You can send the position and what time it happened. And if you go into the radio's memory and choose, you can choose any of the things that are likely to go wrong and include that in the message. So you can send all that in a text to everybody who can receive, and then you can follow it up with the voice message as we traditionally did. The whole point of the digital side is that you can call lots of people without having to use channel 16 all the time. Worth practicing, worth looking through the memory on your radio, look through the manual, see how it works, understand what you can do. So how to do those things? So firstly, the first thing is normal voice spoken stuff. All you need to do is adjust your channel. So at the moment I'm on 16, I adjust the channel buttons to whatever I need. Most ports work on 14, most marinas work on 80, and then I just pick up the mic and talk in the normal fashion. When I talk, I'm always thinking to slow my voice slightly and project my voice slightly so I'm giving maximum clarity. All the digital stuff will be in the menu. So we go into the menu and we look for DSC calls, and then we can see we can do individual. So if we click onto an individual call, we can choose the number of someone that we wish to call. Nice and simple. We put their number in, we send them a text, and we choose what channel we want to chat to them on. If we want to do any form of distress calls, we go down to the bottom and we can see that we can have all the various things that can be wrong. Undesignated, fire, explosion, flooding, collision, grounding, capsizing, sinking, adrift, abandoning, piracy, get lots of that, man overboard. All that does is add that last piece of information. If we need to send a distress call, which we would traditionally call a mayday, we lift and press on our red distress button. If we've chosen first, that information is given. Only use the distress button when it is grave and imminent danger to a person or the vessel. So if somebody on the boat has fallen and cut their head badly, don't know if it's going to kill them or not, that's definitely distress. If the boat's lost its engines and it's drifting towards rocks, that's definitely distress. Everything else would be a pan-pan, nowadays called an urgency call. How do we get out of those? Just press on the menu and we come back. So You need to play on your own radio to work out what you need. The things you need to know are the distress DSC calls, and then other than that it's all just normal spoken stuff. Having got yourself comfortable with what's in the menu on your radio, how do you do those three sorts of calls? Voice, DSC, add digital calls to an individual, security, urgency or distress. Which one do you want people who come with you? Well, they really need to know how to do the distress, the mayday call. If you've explained to them how the red button function works, that all they have to do is lift and press it for 5 seconds, that mayday will at least go out as a digital message. Ideally, you'd like them to be able to do the voice bit as well, and it's not a bad idea to practice your own voice bit, so if you ever have to, you feel comfortable with what you're saying. Most chandlers sell a printed version. You can create your own at home, and it's very simple to do, and all you need to know is your own vessel's call sign and your own vessel's MMSI. Make it up, laminate it if possible, put it on the boat, and it's available for anybody on the boat to be able to give that spoken message. Show people how to read the position, either on the VHF set itself or on your plotter or GPS, so people can aid you. It might be you that actually needs the assistance. Can't stress enough how important it is to have more than just you who can actually give this information. Having explained the red button and explained to them that it gives the position of the boat to the Coast Guard, that's marvellous. When you follow it up with the spoken voice part, the problem there is when you call out the position in Latin long, to most people, me included, it's just a list of numbers. I'd struggle to be able to pinpoint where it was. Real life Latin long, 2 miles south of Start Point, halfway across Tall Bay, all of that allows people to think, I know where they are and I can render some assistance. So if you can include your position in real life, for me, it actually is much more helpful. So it's worth having a little practice of your spoken mayday. One of the key things I've always learnt is to not press this transmit button until I've engaged my brain of what I want to say. Now I've turned my radio off because I don't want to broadcast a mayday to the whole world, but I'm going to show you exactly what I would do and the speed that I would do it at. So let's assume that we're sinking and the position is as given on the GPS and I've got a real life position. So my mayday would be as follows. Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is orca, orca, orca. My MMSI is 2 3 5 0 7 5 5 2 6. Call sign 2 Delta Juliet Charlie 5. Mayday. This is orca. MMSI 2 3 5 0 7 5 5 2 6. Call sign 2 Delta Juliet Charlie 5. My position is 50 degrees 24.20 north, 003 degrees 30.65 west, approximately Brixham Outer Harbour. My vessel is sinking. I require immediate assistance. 2 persons on board have life jackets and life raft. Over. Hopefully from that you can see that I'm delivering the message slowly and clearly enough that if you hear it, you can write down the key info. Latin long, how many people, what's the vessel called? Now when the red button was pressed, that position that MMSI and the time will have been broadcast as well. And what the Coast Guard are doing are matching the digital and the voice to make sure that it's one vessel that they're searching for and they're searching in the right place. Have a practice. It will never ever let you down if you practice it well.